Welcome to Growing a B2B SaaS. On this show, you'll get actionable and usable advice. You'll hear about all aspects of growing a business to a business software company. Customer success, sales, funding, bootstrapping, exits, scaling, everything you need to know about growing a startup, and you'll get it from someone who's going through the same journey. Now your host, Joran Hoffman.
Welcome back to another episode on the Grow Your B2B SaaS podcast. If you want to grow your B2B SaaS, you will need to run experiments to see what is working and what is driving business. This is also known as growth hacking or growth marketing. We're going to talk to Fabian Maume. He's a fractional CMO for SaaS companies. This basically means he helps startups who can't or don't want to hire a full-time CMO. He helps his clients with any kind of growth marketing. Today, we're going to talk specifically about Producthunt again, as it is a great way for your SaaS to receive free exposure, new signups, and in the end, paid clients. Fabian himself has hunted more than 20 products on Producthunt. So next to helping his clients to launch on Producthunt, he's a real hunter, as you can call him on the platform. We are going to talk with him how to launch your SaaS on Producthunt, why not all launches are equal, and some hacks to make your launch successful. Welcome to the show, Fabian.
Thanks for having me.
I always like to ask this question at the beginning. In your own words, why should people listen to you today?
Basically, I made a lot of Producthunt launch. I made 30 Producthunt launch as hunter so far. I was product of the day once. I think I was top 5 of the day 5 times. And I also made few launches as a maker. I made 5 launches as a maker. So I know also the other side, being a SaaS launching on Producthunt and actually trying to leverage Producthunt to grow your business and get more cash in the business.
Yeah, good. Because those are the two terms Producthunt uses, right? Maker and hunter, where the maker is the SaaS company, the hunter is basically who spots new SaaS companies.
Yeah, so basically maker are people which are working on the product. So it's typically everybody in the marketing team, usually of the SaaS company. It's not limited in number to my knowledge. So it's good to be listing all the marketing or support team, because all the maker will have access to a dashboard on the day of the launch, and they can use it to monitor comments and easily answer them. But you can have only one hunter, which is a person to help you get extra exposure, that on the day of the launch, all the follower of the hunter get a notification. So if you have a hunter with 1,000 followers, it's going to give you a boost in exposure.
And do you have any other responsibilities as a hunter? What is the exact role being a hunter? Are there any other things you need to do?
So it depends what you have. So on the pure Producthunt user rules, hunter is just here to be posting product and basically a notification. Now, when you're launching, it's good to be negotiating with your hunter and make sure that it will do some extra work for you. So typically all hunter have some existing audience in some other social media. So for example, for me, it's LinkedIn. So they will help you promote on their personal social media, on some communities they are part on, and so on. And also the hunter should advise you about what to do to prepare the launch. So especially how to write your description, how to get proper visuals for your launch ready, and this kind of thing.
I think that's important because in my intro said you hunted 20 products and you had some successful ones and maybe some less successful ones. So you know exactly, of course, what is working and what might not be working.
Yeah.
Just, I guess, maybe to go to the basics, because as a maker, as a SaaS company, you're going to launch your product on Producthunt. Why, again, should people care about launching on Producthunt?
So it brings few benefits. I would say there's 3 benefits of Producthunt. So the first one is it gives you some organic reach. So it's going to depend how far you are in the ranking. Typically, if you're in top 3, you can expect about 500 to 1,000 visits on your website. If you are below this, but still in top 10, usually you should still be getting about 200, 300 visits. And if you are below, you just start to get less. So the higher you are, the more organic reach you will have. So the first benefit, just it gave you exposure. Second benefit you have if you finish in the top 5 is you will get a nice badge, which shows that you are product of the day. And it's a quite good social proof that a lot of people know, especially if you are targeting audience developers, usually they already know about Producthunt. So if you have a badge like this, it's really nice to have. And the last benefit you have is you get a do follow link from Producthunt, which has quite good authority. So it is good for your SEO, especially when you're early stage, that it's a free do follow backlink.
Yeah, so even though if you might not end up in the top 10, at least you get that good do follow link. Might be an expensive one, but definitely worth it, because you are gonna spend a lot of time, of course, on the launch. And if you aren't, then listen to this full podcast, because you probably should. Let's talk about the launch. So first things first, when do you need to start prepping the launch?
So this will actually depend what is your target with the launch. So you have to be a bit realistic with Producthunt that it's going to be hard for you to be in the top 5 if you have no pre-existing audience. So typically on the day of the launch, you'll be sending email blasts to your user, asking them for support. And that's one of the things which will have the main impact on your launch. If you are like brand new startups that you have just like less than 100 people in your newsletter, you cannot reach for top 5. So what I recommend to early stage startup is to go for a more like no frill launch, to prepare it, like invest less time preparing it, and basically focus mainly on having this nice do follow link, and basically having like, let's say 100 visits to have some beta user to get feedback. So if you're going for this, it's feasible to prepare launch in just like few weeks, like within months. If your goal is to be in top 5 of the day, you want to be start preparing like 3 months in advance, basically.
That's interesting. So 3 months in advance. And like, what are you going to do in those 3 months? So what do you advise people to actually do in those 90 days?
Like in preparation, there's 2 things which kind of big impact. One thing is to find a good hunter, which basically is going to give you good exposure. And that will take you time, because typically hunter, like good one, have a book schedule in advance about when to launch. So you need to plan like usually at least 2 months to have a good hunter. There is a nice website to find relevant hunter, which is called Upvote Bell, which basically help you find hunter for specific topic like growth hacking or whatever. And you can basically contact those people. So that's one task which takes a lot of time. Other task which can help you is to build an audience, like connect with other people which are active on Producthunt. Like I'm doing this, I have the mining script to identify people who have bought a similar product, and then I'm usually running like cleaning outreach. And this also takes time, because we are limited in scale of cleaning outreach. You can send only 100 requests per week. So if you want to be contacting like 500 people, you need some time to be running the campaign.
How important is it? Because you mentioned it at the first already, it takes time to find a good hunter. Like, how important is to find a good hunter? Like, we did another episode on Producthunt where the guy said it's not that important to find a good hunter, but I feel, in your opinion, it actually is.
Yeah, so it is less important than it was. On the day of the launch, follower of the hunter gets a notification. 1 year ago, this notification was per email. Now it's like in-app notification, so it's like less visible. However, like it still have a considerable impact. Basically, if the hunter has more than 1,000 followers, it still has some impact. And also, it's going to help you get featured. So when you're posting on Producthunt, it's not 100% sure that your product will be featured on the home page. Because the Producthunt team is making manual curation of which products they believe they deserve to be on the home page. If you are hunted by somebody with good authority, you have almost like automated validation by Producthunt team. So that's other big benefits, that it's secure to be featured on the homepage.
Yeah. And maybe a really blunt question, but what's in it for a hunter? Like, do you pay them? What is in it for them, for them to hunt you, basically?
So according Producthunt like user rules, hunters should not be paid for hunting. So usually the main benefit is that it helps them build their personal brand. And now a lot of hunters are running other type of consulting aside and for charging you. So the fact of hunting, which is just likely to post the product and get the exposure of follower, should be free, but they can be charging you for preparing the launch, like to help you have proper design and this kind of thing.
We have those 90 days. We found a good hunter. We found people who already voted on similar products. Now launch day is coming close. What do we need to do just a couple of days before launch and on the actual launch day itself?
So you can be scheduling the launch. Like now I think it's possible to schedule it up to 3 weeks in advance. And so you need to get like all the creative ready. So you need to have the product description, the header, which is limited to 70 characters, kind of thing. It's important to have some visual of the app. Like you need usually to have at least 3 screenshots of the app. If you can have a video demo of the app, it's something which will have a big impact. And you need also like logo of the app and prepare the first comment you will have. So the hunter will make a comment and the maker should also make a comment which make explain what this product is doing, why it's interesting to check out.
Yeah. And can you then walk me through launch day? Because you now can schedule it. Normally, I think people were just waiting on the perfect time to hit publish. What do you need to do as a company on launch day itself if you already prepared everything?
So a lot of things. So first, the launch start at midnight Pacific time. It's about like 9 a.m. like Amsterdam time. And during the launch, it is critical that you're answering comments relatively quickly. So that's the more important thing. Like you want to be answering each comment within 5 minutes, because if you don't, you would be penalized in terms of organic reach on the platform. So that's something you have to do during all the day. Then during the first 2 hours are critical, because for the first 2 hours, the ranking on the homepage is randomized. So every product has a chance to be on top of the homepage. Once the randomization is done, like so at 11 a.m., like European time, the ranking is based mainly on number of upvotes. So at 11, you should have between 50 and 100 upvotes to make sure that you are in the top of the ranking. So for those 2 hours, you need to do a lot of marketing to be boosting your launch. So that's when you will contact back like all the people that you contacted before that are active on Producthunt. Just when you're contacting those people, mark in which time zone they are. That in those 2 first hours, you will contact any people which are in Europe or like India. You don't want to contact people in US because it will be middle of the night for them and they're not going to respond within these 2 first hours. In this 2 hours, you want to be sending email blasts to your user to say, hey, we're on Producthunt today, please support us. You want to be having like the hunter and everybody in the team sharing the launch on LinkedIn, Twitter, like whatever social media you have a good follower base on. And you want to be sharing also in like a few Facebook community where people are active on Producthunt. So you want to be doing this already in the morning to get as many votes as possible in those first 2 hours.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, it is 9 a.m. Amsterdam time. Do we have an advantage over US companies? Because like we're doing it daytime and they are doing it in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I do think that Producthunt is actually better for Europe because, well, you have people awake here. It's possible to launch into any time during the day, that you can be launching a product, let's say like 1 p.m. or time, so when like the US wake up. However, it is much harder because like if you are launching at a later date, like in the first 15 minutes, you need to get like 30, 50 votes. Otherwise, like you will just stay at the bottom of the ranking and you won't be able to catch up.
Yeah, because everybody already got their upvotes. And does it matter in which day of the week you launch?
Yes. So you have different competition depending like of the day. Competitive day are usually, so Monday is the most competitive because that's when you have the highest chance to be product of the week. And then Wednesday and Thursday are very competitive, but that's when you can have a lot of web traffic. Friday is less competitive day, and it's usually what I recommend when you are relatively early stage that you don't have existing audience is the easy day to be launching. Also, the time in the months matter. You should avoid the first week because the first week is more competitive. It's when you have the higher chance to be product of the month. Or if you have big audience, you want to launch on the first week to be product of the month.
Yeah, nice. So you probably have peak hours on Producthunt or peak days on Producthunt where a lot of SaaS companies are launching. And are there any kind of resource, or I kind of talked about it already, but you mentioned like you need to have the listing, the video, the visuals, the email you can already prepare, the first comment you can prepare. Are there any other things you need to get ready before launching?
So I'm typically preparing the different also message to be sharing on LinkedIn and so on. So also like through Twitter. So on the day of the launch, I'm typically making 2 LinkedIn messages. So one is right at the time of the launch, and one is around like 2, 3 p.m. our time, because when US is waking up. So it allows you to be catching up on those people. And for Twitter, I'm basically posting every 2 hours. So I have a set of, for every launch, some template of like message ready and just update it based on what statistics we get during the day. I also always prepare before the launch the outreach message we send to people we are connecting with, which are active on Producthunt, like prepare message to ask them for support. And also prepare a question to be asking on Producthunt community. So that's one way you can get extra exposure. Producthunt has a discussion area where you can be asking questions. And when you ask a question there, all your followers get a notification that you're asking a question. So every time I'm doing a launch, I'm asking a question related to the launch and mention that, hey, by the way, I'm hunting this product today.
And the question is going to be from the hunter to his audience, basically, right? So, yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, I think you mentioned it, right? You need to respond within 5 minutes to every question, to every comment. So definitely get everything ready, like these things before, so you can actually focus on answering these things and you don't have to come up with the message, etc. I think that's the best practice here.
Yeah, like definitely, like FAQ is definitely helping. Like, so it's important to cooperate with the help desk of your SaaS before the launch. So make sure they have FAQ ready. And usually it's good to have some people from support in the maker list of makers so they can actually take care of comments, because they're usually the most qualified to be commenting on word questions.
That's actually a good one. Is there anything else you need to prepare organizational wise to make sure you're going to be ready for the traffic, for the signups? Are things going to press when you're going to launch on Producthunt?
Yeah, so you need to have, minimum requirement to be launching on Producthunt is onboarding is working on your page. So test it properly. And it needs to be scalable enough to be handling like up to 500 visits within the day, because otherwise it can be very damaging if people come from Producthunt and they see like a broken website. Also recommend to have on the website some like heatmap recording, something like Hotjar or SmartLook, basically. You will have like a lot of traffic on your website, and it's the perfect time to be testing your UI and your onboarding. So make sure that you have a heat map set up on main landing page to see how people will interact with it, and be able to iterate later on with product based on those feedback, basically.
Yeah, I think that's actually an interesting point. It's a good moment to run product hacking experiments because you are going to get a lot of traffic. So it's time also to test things out as well.
Yeah, it's also an occasion to be running promotions. So you have an option when you're launching a Producthunt to include a discount code. You can define it however you want. It can be like a fixed amount, a percentage. It can be lifetime deal. Basically, it can be a good way to be boosting your sales. There is two main approaches usually. So for early stage startup, it's common to do lifetime deals. So you get some input of cash flow and give you some runaway for like surviving, basically. That's what I actually did with my own SaaS startup. First Producthunt launch we did, we run like some lifetime deal, and it gave us like 2,500 USD basically of cash that we could use for the next month. Otherwise, if you're more established, it's common to have like a discount on first month of subscription. So you are trying to boost the MRR, and you can limit this discount in time. So you're creating some fear of missing out. It's like, yeah, you need to use this discount like within 1 week of the launch, so you can like get the most of this like time.
Yeah, and I think that's a common best practice to not have discount codes living on the internet, which are also available always. So just make sure you limit it indeed. I think that's a small advice, but very important advice.
Growing a B2B SaaS is tough. We know. This is why we started Redditus. We help you to grow your monthly recurring revenue without high upfront costs. How? By leveraging someone else's network and only giving away a commission when they deliver you a paid client. It's called affiliate marketing. It's already a really cost-effective and scalable revenue channel. We even made it better for you. With Redditus, you can start for free and only start paying us when you generate revenue. Learn more at www.getredditus.com.
So we launched, we did all these things. What do you need to do when the day is over? So Monday is over. We're going into the rest of the week. What do we need to do after launch day?
Typically, you will be thanking like people for supporting you. It's common, like if you have good result, to be writing a blog post about how you did it, like, because it's type of content that people really like in SaaS to know how you made it. What you can do is after 6 months, you have the option to relaunch on Producthunt if you have a new feature. So that's the thing, you need to be booking a calendar, like in 6 months time, you have the option to relaunch if you have new update. And actually Producthunt is kind of evolving toward encouraging relaunch, that you have no feature which is called the Producthunt Hub, which is a page where you can see like all the launch of company. Anytime somebody upvotes your launch, he become a follower of this page. So if you are doing a relaunch, he is getting a notification that you are relaunching this product. So you have the ability to be basically building some audience over time and basically just get better on each launch.
Yeah, and this is maybe why sometimes it's also good to start launching on Producthunt and not always to wait until the perfect product, because you can actually build up an audience here.
Yeah, like I would say it's the biggest mistake I made on my side with my own SaaS is I was waiting too long to be launching a Producthunt. That like we made only 2 launch within 2 years, because we were always waiting, like, yeah, we have new feature coming, it's going to be a killer feature, I want to wait for it. But basically every launch is just a nice opportunity to get exposure and get new users. So you should plan to be launching every 6 months if you are like pushing new feature on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I think this is a good reminder for ourselves to start preparing our own launch, because we haven't launched ourselves either, and like we're now launching Relatives 2.0. I was waiting for that moment, but I probably should have launched sooner already. But yeah, good learning for the people who are listening right now. Growth hacks, you kind of mentioned a couple already, but any other kind of growth hacks you've used to launch Producthunt?
So like I was saying, in terms of growth hacks, the main one is really to be building an audience beforehand. So for this, I have some web scraping to be like getting lists of people upvoting similar products. And then I have nice templates which work for adding outreach, like which usually give 60% acceptance on contact requests. So it's like nice result. Asking a question on the day of the launch to not basically leverage building notification is another growth hack which is working quite well. Outside of this, I don't think there's many growth hack you can be doing. It's like just do the work.
Yeah, and the discount code you mentioned, and I think you do mention like Hotjar, testing things. So they're not, growth hacks to really get more upvotes, but at least making sure in the end you're growing your product and optimizing things needed. Let's talk about mistakes. What are the common mistakes you see companies making while launching on Producthunt?
So the most common one, which is quite easy to avoid, is you need the logo in 1-to-1 ratio. That's the most common issue I have as a hunter, that I receive logo which have bad ratio and then it's look like horrible. So just keep in mind that you need the logo in 1-to-1 ratio, otherwise it will look terrible. Launch as soon as possible, like especially if you're early stage, like don't be afraid to have a launch which will finish in top 30 and just give you like 50, 100 visits. It helps you to build an audience. It helps you to be stacking. You can relaunch after 6 months. So don't be afraid to launch as soon as possible. I had once a mistake. It's happened like only for 1 week in the year, is the time change to winter time and summertime as 1 week delay between US and Europe. So be aware of this, like check 3 times, like the conversion between Pacific time and European time, because it happened to me to realize like 1 hour after the launch that we were actually already live because of this.
So in that case, you launched on Sunday evening, and basically you ended up the week and ended the day, so it didn't work out probably.
Yeah, like especially it was before randomizing of the first 2 hours. So the first hour was the most critical before that. So if you discover like 1 hour too late that you're already live.
We talked about it a little bit at the beginning. You're a hunter. You mentioned why do hunters hunt is they also offer different services or offer different kinds of help towards these companies. I know you do as well. You help companies to launch on Producthunt. Why is it important to get help around launch strategy?
Basically, it saves you a lot of time in doing research. That if you Google how to make a Producthunt launch, I think you have nowadays like 100 articles on the topic. Most of them are good, but it's going to take you a lot of time if you want to get like all the tips, especially that there were few recent changes, like from randomization of the first 2 hours. I think it's just 2 months old. so you might not find it in the recent article. So it's good to have somebody which can walk you through the process and like tell you how to avoid mistakes. And second thing is definitely a hunter with a follower base is definitely going to give you a boost in exposure. So I will definitely recommend the website, which is Upvote Bell, to be finding good hunter, that you can enter there like any topic, and it'll give you a list of hunter in this topic. And don't be shy or try to outreach those people. Worst case, you will just be having a chat with them and they will give you some advice about how to launch.
Yeah, because in the end, most of them shouldn't charge you money for it, right? So they are going to offer you something else, but going to save you time, avoiding making common mistakes, and definitely help you to get a first community around your launch. How do you see affiliates fit within launching on Producthunt?
So it's complicated to use affiliate for Producthunt launch. So it is good to ask your advocates to support your launch. So I, for example, made a launch for Marketing Miner, which is TO Suit, so that's similar to Ahrefs. And they have like ambassador program in different countries. So they leverage this ambassador to be broadcasting the launch in different community, like in Germany and so on. So that definitely gives them a boost in exposure. Now, the problem you will have with affiliate and Producthunt launch is Producthunt doesn't give you any web analytics. You don't know how many people visit your Producthunt page. You don't know where they're coming from. So it will be really hard to assess the results of your affiliate effort. And it will be really hard to be paying them back for their effort, which is usually like big motivation of affiliates. So that's the main challenge you will have with affiliate and Producthunt.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that, because in the end they want to earn money and you need to track things for it. But I think you already mentioned, as in you are going to get a lot of traffic, you are going to get a lot of new users, and those users, if they like your product, you can actually convert them into affiliates. So it is going to be a bit of a longer game with Producthunt.
Yeah, so definitely Producthunt can be a good opportunity to hire affiliates. So it's also typical that if you finish in top 5, you have usually a lot of people contacting you. Lot of news tech writer will be like following Producthunt, and they're typically people who are living from affiliates by recommending different tools. So it's typical after launch that if you are successful, to be contacted by several affiliates, which are like, hey, do you have an affiliate program? Can I join and promote you?
Yeah. So we might have to add that to the list of things preparing before the launch. Make sure you go to Reddit and set up an affiliate program if you're a SaaS.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Nice. We're gonna wrap up with these 2 questions I always like to ask. Advice per stage. You kind of already mentioned it, like you need to launch almost every 6 months, but let's just start with somebody who's starting off his SaaS and growing to 10K MRR. What kind of advice would you give to them?
So I would say the metrics which matter for Producthunt launch is not raise the MRR, is like how many users you have, because that's what would determine if your email blast is efficient or not. So I would say that the metrics to determine which type of launch you want to go for. And then typically, if you have a big user base, you will set a goal that you want to get those badge for basically social proof. That your goal is not only to have exposure, is to have one of those badge you want to finish in top 5. So if you have like more than 500 or 1,000 users, you want to get those badge. And you also will want to pick a more competitive day, like Wednesday or Thursday, to have more exposure, like more web traffic. If you have more early stage, you want to be launching on a Friday, because that's the less competitive day. You have higher chance to just get exposure like without existing audience. And last thing, if you're more early stage, if you need cash flow, consider a lifetime deal in parallel of Producthunt launch. It can give you a nice runaway in terms of cash flow.
Yeah, it is actually interesting that you say it, because you now mentioned Friday as less competitive, because like the most common advice you get is launch on Monday and then 12 or 9 Amsterdam time, 12 or 12:01 Pacific time. But you could actually also turn it around, launch on Friday, so you're more likely to actually end up number 1 of the day.
Yeah, but one thing I didn't mention, if you finish in top 10, you are featured in the newsletter in the following day. So it is good to be targeting top 10. Like being in top 10 on Friday is better than being 11th on Monday.
Yeah, and that makes sense. So if your user base isn't that high and you probably don't want to launch on Monday, you want to launch on these more easy days to get into the top 10.
One important point regarding stage of startup, Producthunt is relevant once you can serve global customer. because most traffic you get is from US and so on. So if you started your SaaS as something like super localized, because like let's say you are leveraging some legal framework, this kind of thing, wait to have something which is appealing for a global audience before launching on Producthunt.
Yeah, and that goes really well into the next question, because like we now kind of discussed growing to 10K MR with a small audience. What kind of advice would you give somebody who's growing to 1 million ARR, so who probably already have a bigger user base? Like what kind of advice would you give them?
Basically, with bigger user base, they want to have product of the day, even maybe product of the month, because it's a really nice recognition. So then for them, launch on the first day of the month, target to be product of the month, make some marketing buzz about it, that you have this recognition. Also, because you should have a considerable marketing team, you can consider to launch micro product. So you can launch every 6 months one specific product, but you can easily launch other products. Producthunt define a product as one specific URL on the website. So if you're making a sub landing page with like a very good quality white paper, for example, you can be launching it as a micro product, but you get some exposure about it.
Yeah, and that comes down to the other thing you said, you can build your own audience maybe then. Or as a hunter, you build an audience. Do you also build an audience on Producthunt Maker?
Yeah, so every profile is able to get follower. And so I didn't mention it, but here, like you also send notification to follower of the maker. Also, there is now a feature which is called Product Hub, which aggregate all the launch from a specific company. And this hub can also get followers. So it's one more way you can be building an audience is you get followers there.
Nice. I think this is really good. We are coming to the end. Any final thoughts you want to share with other B2B SaaS founders?
So I will maybe make one more point. Like if you are already very big in terms of SaaS, you can consider also the paid advertisement on Producthunt. It's like likely it can be really interesting if your audience is matching Producthunt well. So if you are targeting like other makers or like indie hacker, it can be relevant. It's starting at $1,000 per month. So you need to have a considerable marketing budget to start considering it, but it can be interesting for some company.
And I haven't heard of it, to be honest. This is the first time. So what does it do? Are you going to basically promote your launch, or is it just like running ads on Producthunt platform?
So there is two types of ads available. There is a marketplace on Producthunt where you can basically offer special discount to Producthunt community. And so you are paying to be listed on this platform. And basically every time something new is added, it's featured in the newsletter. So give some exposure. And then if you pay attention to Producthunt, I think the third result, usually you will see that it's not something launching today, it's called promoted. And that back end, the type of advertisement you can be running on the platform is that you will be visible on the landing page, like on the main page as a promoted product.
Yeah. So it's going to give you permanent visibility as long, of course, you keep paying Producthunt.
Yeah.
Nice. If people want to get in contact with you, what would be the best way to do so?
Well, like simply go on tetris.io and there is a call on top and you can directly have access to my calendar.
Nice. Well, we're definitely going to link your site so people can find you really quickly. Thanks again, Fabian, for coming on to the show. And it was a pleasure having you.
Same ways.
Cheers. Thanks.
You've been listening to Growing a B2B SaaS. Joran has been ahead of customer success before founding his own startup. He's experiencing the same journey you are. We hope you've gotten some actionable advice from the show. And we hope you had fun along the way. We know we did. Make sure to like, rate, and review the podcast in the meantime. To find out more and to hook up with us on our social media sites, go to www.getredditus.com. See you next time on Growing a B2B SaaS.